I'll do 6 and 7 together. They both ask us to use the graph to determine the function's domain and range. One thing we have to remember, domain, we're talking about x values. Range, we're talking about y values. And we're going from least to greatest, from smallest to largest, from small to big. Right? Alright. So first let's find the domain of this first function. Let's do the domain of both of them, rather. X values. So this goes off the graph. So just imagine this continues forever and ever and ever and ever and ever. Again, don't judge me. It's hard to, yeah, whatever. Alright, so if I'm thinking about all the x values where this function is defined, so notice that it's defined at 0, right? -1, -2, -3, -4, -5, -6. -10 is defined. -11, -12. Think about -100 all the way down there. It's going to be defined. -1,000 is going to be defined. Right? Since this continues forever and ever to the left, that domain is starting all the way at -infinity. It's defined for every x value going to the left. Everyone. But we'll notice that as x gets larger and larger, -3, -2, -1, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. At x equals 9, the graph stops right there. That's the last x value where this function is defined. At x equals 10, it's not defined. At x equals 11, it's not defined. It stops right at 9. And 9 is included in that, so it stops right at 9. If it was an open circle, get parentheses. Stops, make sure that's 9. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Stops right at x value equals 9. And now look at this function on the other hand, right? Continues off the graph. Oops. Told you this is hard. Continues forever. Continues forever. Right? So this function is defined -1, x values for the domain, right? -3, -4, -5, -6, -7, -8, 9, 10 is defined for every x value going to the left. It's defined for 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. This thing doesn't stop, right? It goes forever to the left and forever to the right. Domain is all real numbers, all x values. This function is defined for every single x value you can think of. This one stops right at 9. This goes forever. Range. Talking about y values. The range. So we're starting from down here, from negative values and going all the way up until so at x equals -10, there's no function. The function is not defined at x equals -10, not at 9, -8, -7, -6, -5. The first y value where this function is defined, where we see this function, is at y equals 0. That's where it's defined. That's the 0.90 right there. It's 90. The first y value where this function is defined, the smallest y value, is at 0. But it's defined at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, all the way over there. 8 all the way over there, right? Since this is going up and to the left, it's going up forever. So even though it gets further and further to the left, this function is still going to be defined for all of these y values. As you hear the ambulance driving down 59th Street. Right? This is going to be defined for every y value as I'm rising here. So this goes from 0, y values, the range goes from 0 all the way to positive infinity. This thing is rising, this function is rising forever. Forever. So eventually it'll hit all the y values. This function here on the right, number 7, as you can see, it goes down and to the left forever. So since it's going down forever, we know that range starts at negative infinity. Every y value down here will be defined. The function will be defined. But it does have a peak. It does have a highest y value, a largest y value. That y value is at y equals 4. Nothing above that. Nothing above y equals 4. Stops right there. And this value is included. So, bracket. And that's the domain and range for these two functions.